Tennessee. Now, I know Keon will probably get into that discussion, but evidently the list of names has really grown here lately, and the fact that um, there's a lot of people interested in the job. And I know I would be if I had an $8.5 million buyout. That's for sure. But, you've got to be able to earn that right to have that kind of dollars. So I would probably be starting out at uh, desiring you as their football coach. And that might be $100 buyout. But, a lot of names, though, have been popping up here, potentials. Of course, John Gruden, everybody thinks that is going to be the one that can save the day at Knoxville. I really don't see Gruden leaving the broadcast booth with the dollars that he's making. Dan Mullen would be an ideal choice. He's over at Mississippi State. But then again, why would you go from one SEC school over to another? He may have more recruiting availabilities, if he came to Knoxville and the storied program that they have. Another candidate being Matt Campbell at Iowa State. Now, this is a new name I haven't heard being in the mix, but evidently Campbell has been able to get Iowa State into the thick of things. Mike Norvell over at Memphis, he's really got the Tigers on a mission of going up. They've been down over the years, and they're not in an easy conference either, but Norvell is being projected as being the new coach at Arkansas if Brett Bielema actually gets shown the door like Coach Jones did. Scott Frost over at Central Florida. The one name that I hope does not get the job, let him stay where he's at. He always has baggage that comes along. I mean, he's got this program on an upward swing. That's Bobby Petrino over at Louisville. Now, yes, he was at Arkansas, and he was great on the field leading the Razorbacks, but his off-field antics is what got him into trouble and dismissed at Arkansas. Les Miles, candidate that's being considered for an Oregon State job, is in the mix. He's former national champion coach at LSU, and he's 64 years old. He's still got some gas in the tank, I think, and if Miles was given the opportunity, could really do a good job. Now, a former UT alum and T. Martin, former quarterback of the 98 national champion bowl squad. He's out at USC as their offensive coordinator. He's been mentioned. Chad Morris over at SMU, getting that program turned around. He's a branch off of the Dabo Swinney tree of coaches. Charlie Strong, who was former head coach at Texas. And Coach Strong, I mean, is a good coach. However, you would think that he would be in a similar situation with Tennessee, where, they are really looking for a program to really hit it off right from the get-go. And I don't know if Coach Strong could do that or not. He's down in Southern Florida. Seems to be at a program that is more to his liking. You got Jimbo Fisher, who used to be a coach up at Michigan. He's now the head coach at Florida State. ACC to SEC, I don't think that there's that much of a difference, but Florida State trying to get their Seminoles back up to national caliber talent like they are. And then the one person that I think that would probably take the job isn't a high maintenance kind of a guy, Gary Patterson at TCU. So, I would kind of be rooting for Les Miles or Gary Patterson, or maybe Dan Mullen. But like I said, with Mullen, I don't know why you would want to leave an SEC school to go to another school. Just, I think that's kind of like going from this radio station and going to work for the competition that is like us. I just don't see doing that on Dan Mullen's part, nor could I do that to the fine folks here at Nooga Radio. even though they probably wished at times I would. Just saying. But Keon will probably get you up to speed on everything with UT Vols as far as with the football search. Brady Hoke, I mean, I mentioned this last night, and I think Keon chimed in as well. I think that, Coach Hoke, who's got experience at Michigan, I think the job's his, especially if they can beat LSU at Neyland Stadium and, following it up with a bigger defeat of Vanderbilt in the final regular season game of the year. Right now the football team is 4-6 on the season. So they actually could finish 500, and maybe that's part of the reason why the administrative staff in the athletic department, as well as the upper echelon in the president's office, probably is thinking the same thing. We've got a chance to get a 500 record, and if you've got a 500 record, you could actually maybe get offered a bowl game. Not that Tennessee is up for a matchup like that, but you never know. All right. So while we're talking UT, let's come down the road here back to Chattanooga. And Chattanooga Mocs, they lost to the UAB Blazers 89-47 down at Bartow Arena in Birmingham. Mocs missed their first 9 shots, trailing 13-0 over a 7-minute period. In fact, it took off 7 minutes and 6 seconds off the clock before James Lewis Jr. got the first basket for the Mocs. Nate Darling scored 19 points for the Mocs, and Chris Coakley chipped in 12 points and 10 rebounds. So the young Mocs, who's been classified as the youngest NCAA Division I school in the country, having a little bit of tough time. They will get their mark. They'll get wins. Lamar Parrish, the head coach, will make sure that he gets the team in a good rhythm. They've got to find that chemistry, and yeah, they've had a couple months to do that, but it will take a little bit of time. Now, while we're talking about the Mocs, let's go over to the ladies' side. They lost to Central Florida in a nail-biter, 58-57, in the old home gym at McClellan Gym in front of 1,534 fans. Now, Lady Mocs actually probably will do a better job this year than what the men's team will. But 1,534, there's got to be a lot more fans than that out there. Lady Mocs hit the road for 5 of their next 6 games beginning tomorrow night with Stetson and a 5 p.m. tip. Then Saturday, it's an 11 a.m. tip-off with Presbyterian at the Roundhouse. And then they will be on the road with Indiana, Northwestern, Georgetown, and Auburn. And Northwestern, Georgetown, and Auburn, they will be playing that up in Nashville for that Thanksgiving weekend tournament that will be coming up in Nashville. Cleveland State taking on Wallace State men's basketball action tonight. Jackson State on Friday, Columbia State on Saturday. So the best of luck to the Cougars of Cleveland State. Lee University women's soccer team advances to the next round of the NCAA Division II tournament against Gulf South Conference foe West Florida. That will be played at Carson Newman University. The winner will take on either Carson Newman or Columbus State. The round of 8 match that is slated for next Sunday. And the Lee men's basketball team won their second straight game, edging out Miles 79-70 on Sunday. We didn't get the time to mention about that yesterday, so I wanted to make sure that I slipped that in here tonight. So a lot of sports action underway. High school football playoffs continue with week 3 of the TSSAA regional playoffs. I'm hoping to get a lot of information on South Pittsburgh, as well as some of the other teams that are still undefeated, and kind of give you a little bit of an idea of what and how they got to that point where they're now 12-0 for the most part, those 3 teams that are still in it. And Whitwell, who's going to be taking on South Pittsburgh at South Pittsburgh on Friday night, is coming into the contest with an 11-1 record. And, you know, a lot of people are thinking Whitwell may have the better hand, even though they have that one loss on their record. But I'm telling you what, South Pittsburgh has been pretty formidable over the last several years, and Whitwell will really have to bring their Wheaties with them when they go to take on the Pirates of South Pittsburgh on Friday night. Call us at 423-800-8949, 423-800-8949. That is the phone number to call with your question or comment. We're talking sports. It's Sports Talk with Sam Jordan. Don't forget the Clutch with Keon Rose coming up at 7 o'clock tonight. And did you hear just in the last hour, while I was battling traffic coming into the station on the Sean Hannity show, which you can hear weekdays from 3 to 6 here on Nooga Radio News Talk 92.7 FM and 95.3 HD4, Sean was talking about the ratings from last night's Monday Night Football game. A 6.2 for the broadcast on ESPN. Now, for the average person out there that isn't familiar with ratings, typically when we're talking a local station like WRCB or WDEF, WTVC, you know, any of the local stations, you know, that's how stations go after in selling their advertising revenue. You know, a lot of it's based on the ratings. Same way with radio, except in a little different sense. But with TV, on a national level, with a major program like Monday Night Football, you should be talking 20s and 30s for ratings. Sean Hannity quoted it was a 6.2. That roughly comes out to about maybe a little over 1 million people that were watching Monday Night Football. That really isn't a whole lot of people. That would be almost 2 towns the size of Chattanooga that would be watching Monday Night Football. I know I wasn't. Be honest with you, once I got home, had a little bite to eat with the better half and everything, we sat down, we watched The Voice. I just kind of like that. I'm not crazy about Carolina. Miami, well, they're kind of a hit or miss, and even though the game was in Carolina and stuff, and that's a nearby team, it just didn't thrill me. It was about like watching Seattle and Arizona. I didn't watch them, but, you know, of course, I'm interested to see what the score is because, you know, talking sports. But, you know, a lot of people aren't really tuning in for NFL football. And according to Hannity, he was saying that it was down almost 18% from the week before. So, you know, maybe this is coming out to explain why ESPN may be wanting to think about dropping Monday Night Football once their contract ends. But then you get into the same discussion. Who's going to pick it up? I mean, yeah, NBC could. They would have Sunday night, Monday Night Football, but I really don't see them doing that. I think they really enjoy doing that the Sunday night, Thursday night portion of the contract. You know, this is their first year that they're doing the Thursday night gig, but Thursday nights has not been that great of a showdown. Now, this Thursday night, I bet you we're going to have a lot of people from around Pittsburgh and around Tennessee that are going to be following that game because it's the Titans and the Steelers, and that will be a good AFC matchup. Pittsburgh is 7-2, and Tennessee, I forget offhand. I don't think I have that particular page here by my side, but I think Tennessee has got a very similar record or very close to it. So, and I was talking with Keon about this. I don't think that we've seen the good matchups for the primetime games, whether it be Sunday night, Monday night, or Thursday night, that has really wooed the crowd. Now, granted, this schedule is put together while this season is going on for next year. and you just don't know how things are going to shape up. But Keon made a good point. Keon's a very bright sports mind. And I'm telling you, even I, as long as I've been around sports, didn't really think about this, and especially with programming, because when I've ran NFL football on stations that I've owned or managed over the years, the one thing that aggravates me the most is when you've got ESPN or Westwood One or Sports USA or Compass, the four radio networks that, broadcast the games on radio for stations. They're in that flex scheduling of who's going to have what games, because they're trying to find the best games out there, for fans to listen to. And then the same goes on the TV side. But I'm telling you what, there just really hasn't been that many great games to choose from. Now, once we get around Thanksgiving or Christmas, yeah, I think things are going to start to pick up, and we're probably going to see more viewership per se for NFL games, because typically after you have the Thanksgiving turkey, you might even be sitting there eating a Thanksgiving turkey while one of 3 or 4 ball games is going on that day. But in the same way around Christmas time, they'll do games on Christmas Eve. That way they can give the players a chance to be at home with their families, and which is justly so. Even with Thanksgiving, I think, we could get away from having sports on a holiday, but, it's so been ingrained and entrenched in our minds that we've got to play football on Thanksgiving. And of course, you always see Dallas Cowboys and the Detroit Lions. They have generally played every Thanksgiving, no matter what. So, in the last 5-6 years or so, they gradually added a third game in there. Because typically once you get into Thanksgiving evening, you're back into regular programming and stuff, but not the case. You'll have a fourth game potentially that could be playing as a special Thanksgiving night game. And I don't know. I would assume NBC is going to have it because of being Thanksgiving night, because they have the Thursday night schedule right now. CBS had it, NFL Network had it. And they try to split it up between those 3 different networks. But, it's just interesting, why we have to do that. At least I got to give kudos to NASCAR, with Mother's Day and with Easter, they definitely take off. Now, NASCAR will be wrapping things up here this Sunday down at Miami-Dade International Raceway. Park there in South Florida. So, we don't have to worry about that with Thanksgiving and Christmas and all that. Not until we get back into mid-February with the Gatorade Duels and the Daytona 500 and stuff. But, the NBA, they typically have games going on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. Really on holidays, we ought to give that a breather and really take a good, long, reflective thought, on what that holiday truly is. But, they're out to make a buck. They think that fans are wanting to watch a favorite team out there play on a holiday. And it's like, sometimes we lose that true meaning of being around family and friends. And it doesn't always have to include a ball game. Just saying. And I'm a sports nut as you could ever come across. But we want to remind you can call us at 423-800-8949, 423-800-8949. We appreciate the comments that we've got so far here over the last 2 weeks. And, what was meant to be only as a fill-in situation has resulted in being here with you every weeknight now, at least for an hour. And, we're appreciative of that. We enjoy talking about sports. And as I said, earlier, my good friend Keon Rose will be back in here, back in the saddle at 7 o'clock to talk to you with the clutch. And good sports young mind that he is, and tries to give you the inner thoughts of what's going on with the particular sports leagues and stuff, whether it's NBA, NHL, NFL, Major League Baseball, and the such. And, if you heard my sports updates throughout the day today, the Atlanta Braves named Alex Anthopoulos as their new general manager, replacing John Hart, who had been with the organization for a long time. Hart was forced to resign back on October 2nd, and Anthopoulos was previously the Toronto Blue Jays general manager, and then lately was director of player personnel for the LA Dodgers. So he was introduced yesterday afternoon and has a 4-year deal in place. It'll run through the 2021 season. And as soon as he was hired, he had to take the flight from LA down to Orlando because of the new job. General managers meetings are going on down in Orlando. And that is one of his first tasks in getting caught up with all the different rule changes that may be taking place and whatever other particular matters are at hand for general managers to report back to their respective clubs and seeing, what kind of deals can be made. Usually you get the first rumblings of deals taking place, trying to solidify as when December and January gets here. Yeah, teams are starting to do their magic. And so they try to get ahead a little bit here with the general managers meetings. Sometimes GMs will get together and say, hey, I'm looking for this kind of a player. Do you have anybody that, would be of interest? But generally, most teams know what everybody else has got. So they pretty well make proposals on the fly or after some considerable serious thought on that. If you got something you want to talk about here in the next half hour, you are more than welcome to call me at 423-800-8949, and we'll be back with more after the break and talking sports talk with Sam Jordan here on Nooga News Radio, 92.7 FM and 95.3 HD4. More after the break.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader. Nooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM. 3, 2, 1. Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
Early Monday morning, many homeowners in the Hickson area reported people breaking into their homes and stealing items. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office was on the case along with a K-9 unit, and thanks to a detailed description from one of the homeowners, they were able to track down the juveniles, accusing them of committing 5 different burglaries in the Hickson area. 3 firearms were reportedly stolen. They were all recovered, along with the rest of the stolen paraphernalia. The 2 juveniles were taken into custody. A burglary in Chattanooga on Cranbrook Drive. The 2 victims say they were smoking weed inside a shed when 3 men with guns demanded their items, their weed, their money, and the various electronics that were inside the shed. One of the victims says that one of the gunmen pistol whipped them multiple times. They sped off in a Dodge Durango. The police were able to track it down and arrest all those who were involved. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News Talk 92.7. Now.
Expect clear skies to continue through your nighttime. Chilly again overnight, lows into the upper 30s. For Wednesday, morning sunshine giving way to more afternoon clouds, highs near 60. Tomorrow night, a brief shower possible, not much. Dry and milder Thursday and Friday, highs lower to middle 60s. State Farm is there with insurance when things go wrong, but also there to help life go right. With all kinds of combinations that can help save you time, money, and simplify your life, talk to an agent at 800-STATE-FARM. And I'm Sourcine 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr.
Traffic, news, and information. Nooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM.
An automated nuclear missile defense system has suddenly entered into launch mode, and you are the only one who can stop it. Escape Experience Chattanooga. Your team has just been infected with a deadly virus. Your only hope? There, in an abandoned farmhouse. Escape Experience Chattanooga. Handcuffed in a maximum security prison, you have an hour to flee. Escape Experience Chattanooga. These escape scenarios and more at Chattanooga's best escape room, game, and team building platform. Call now. Slots are limited. Register online at escapeexperience.com/Chattanooga. Escape Experience Chattanooga.
Pulse Centers of Chattanooga offers non-medical solutions to your body's problems using a state-of-the-art technology called pulsed electromagnetic fields, PEMF for short. We help fuel the body's natural healing response. If you're tired of taking harmful, addictive drugs that only dull your pain and cause awful side effects, the knowledgeable, friendly staff at Pulse Centers can help you end that cycle.
Call to schedule a free whole body assessment at 423-771-7755. That's 423-771-7755.
Nooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM knows your opinion is important. So call 800-8949. Agree or disagree? Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM and 95.3 HD4. News Talk Nooga Radio.
Sports Talk with Sam Jordan continues here on Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM and 95.3 HD4. And, of course, coming up at 7 o'clock, we've got The Clutch with Keon Rose. Don't forget, Sunday is the final race of the 2017 NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series, with the championship to be decided by 4 individuals: Martin Truex Jr., Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, and I'm missing one. I'm trying to do it off the top of my head. There's 4 of them that are in the final race of the season, even though there'll be 36 other cars or 32 other cars out there racing it'd be 36 other cars. They'll be out there racing for the last race of the season. Then they'll do all their tweaks and tune-ups and stuff as they'll get ready for February. And it'll be here before you know it. We'll be back into another season of roughly 40 races that'll be held. And, of course, you can catch all your NASCAR racing action right here on Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7 and 95.3 HD4. A big congratulations going out to Baylor School's Dan Flack, who is also in charge of the swim club program as well. And he has been named the USA boys team for the Junior Pan-Pacific Championships that will be taking place in Fiji, of all places. Can't ask for a better locale. August 23rd through the 27th. And he was chosen to be the head coach of that team to compete. So you'll have athletes from all over the United States on the junior level that'll be competing, and he will get to pick the best of the cream of the crop on that. Flack was on the 2011 FINA World Junior Team staff and was on the USA staff at the World Junior Championships that just took place here recently in Indianapolis. So he's getting rewarded for that experience and is going to be heading up the entire program for the World Championships coming up. So that's a great honor. So congratulations to him and those endeavors there. 423-800-8949. And, I try to relegate, this talk that I'm about to bring up here, usually for Keon, because he really delves into the SEC more than what I do. Tennessee was the first to really drop the hammer. I think it was a merciful dropping of the hammer on Butch Jones. It may have been premature, but according to reports from the press conference there on Sunday, it was mutually agreed upon to have Coach Jones step aside. For 8.5 million reasons. I think I would too. But, you know, you want to try to save face as much as you can for the individual as the coach, as well as for the school. So it's kind of a catch-22. But I had a friend of mine who is actually here with me outside of Keon that made a good point. We were coming back, here toward the studios, and I said, what do you think about the NFL? And, this is a female, okay? So I've already gave away part of it. It's the better half. My very special lady, Beth. Beth is not really much of a sports person, but I will say this. When she has went with me over the last 5 years to various sporting events to watch what I do, and sometimes gets bewildered and sometimes amazed and sometimes other thoughts that come across her mind. It's like, what? Sometimes I get that. But, she does root for her Steelers because was her daddy's team, and will follow them if she's going to follow any NFL pro team. Now, I'm gradually trying to get her to come over to the good side and help me root for my Cowboys. We need all the help we can get this year. Now that Zeke is out for several games, we need all the help we can get. Alfred Morris may not be the answer in the backfield. Just saying. But anyway, but I asked her, what do you think about all this mess going on with the NFL? And she said, they can just kiss my And it's like, she, just basically said, that she's not really caring for what's been happening on various levels. And, she can understand why there's not a huge crowd count. Keon was making note of this last night when he was in here talking with me on the air. There were several games that actually had picked up in attendance, whether that was due to the Veterans Day remembrance ceremonies that were going on throughout the NFL, which that couldn't have came probably at a much better time for the NFL and its teams and the league itself. And I tell you what, I mean, like I mentioned to Keon, Fox and CBS and NBC were really hamming it up. Not that our vets don't deserve it. Please do not take me wrong when I say this. But, I mean, they were really hamming it up. There was a lot more coverage of vets being on the destroyers there at Norfolk, like Fox was, with doing their pregame show and stuff. It really seemed like they were really going out of their way to make it feel vet friendly. And we should every chance we get. There's no reason why our vets should not be taken care of before anybody else out there that's wanting to come into our country. Now, I'm mixing a little politics here, but that's okay. Our vets ought to be taken care of because they have fought to defend our freedoms and privileges that we have in these great United States. So, the Summer Cares program, which we have been working with, this 11-year-old young girl from Alpine Crest Elementary School. I happened to be there for the live broadcast that we were doing at the community kitchen last Friday. And I tell you what, there was a lot of vets that were in that room. There were a lot of tears going on in that room, not just with Summer, but even with some of the vets, that a young person such as Summer really took the time and the effort and the thought more than anything in wanting to give back to the veterans that have helped defend our country. And there's another opportunity. If you would like to help us, we are looking for any kind of like hand sanitizers, wipes, we don't need toothpaste or toothbrushes or floss, nothing like that, because we have a dentist in our area that is donating quite a bit of that. But any, blankets, jackets, caps, anything. I just want to throw that in there right now. If you could drop it off here at the station or at the Sonic in Hickson, and I believe there's a couple other places I don't have those, but as much as we've been running the promotional announcement, you can find out, or you can go to our Facebook page and also find out. But I tell you what, an 11-year-old young girl that is wanting to try to help our veterans in our community here is an awesome deal. We're also going to be doing something here very soon. We'll be announcing with the Ronald McDonald House, another great organization that tries to help kids in our community, and we're going to be partnering up with them. So we've been working on that personally, but also the staff here really, really behind the Summer Cares program. And last year it was for a different organization. This year it's for homeless vets. And December 15th, we will be down there again doing a live broadcast. Santa Claus is going to be there handing out the items to the vets and anybody else that may be homeless in the community down at the community kitchen. It's a good way to give back. We're in that time of giving. We should be giving back to our community every day. So just wanted to throw that in there. So if you'd like to donate something, you can drop it here at the station. We're on the Hickson Pike, down below behind Goss Insurance. Bojangles is across the road from us. And when you see the big neon, sign out front for Goss Insurance, just drive down below in the back, and we're right in the middle in Suite D. And we're here all the time. Russell's in here like 5 a.m. and Keon's in here till as late as 8. So there's always someone here for the most part. If not, you can always call the 423-800-8949 number, leave a name, number, and we'll get back with you and schedule time to make sure that, there is someone here. But, something that really means a lot to us here at the station, and being able to help out our fellow man here in the community. I know that ain't got nothing to do with sports, but I wanted to throw that in there. But getting back to what I was saying, a lot of people out there, whether they're sports fans or not, I think are really tired of hearing about the NFL. One of the things that I found off of an ESPN report, Jerry Jones, the beloved owner of the Dallas Cowboys, was getting threatened, got kicked off a committee that he didn't even have a vote on anyway, on the renegotiation of Roger Goodell, who would have a contract extension and make $49.5 million a year, free use of a jet for the rest of his life, and then free life insurance or health insurance for his family for a lifetime. That is one massive compensation package alone. And, I know that NFL owners are making money, even with having such a bad season with attendance, because of the issues on the kneeling that's been going on. They're still making money. TV rights revenues alone, are helping quite a bit. It's basically a ticket to make money, just like Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL, you name it, even probably MLS, Major League Soccer. So they can't cry foul too much, and especially when they're looking at giving the commissioner of the National Football League a salary such as $49.5 million. There is nobody, I will repeat this, there is nobody that is worth $49.5 million a year. I'm telling you, there isn't. Even our pro sports athletes, they're making $10-15 million a year. They're not even worth it. I can remember before 1980 that a typical player was not making over $250,000 in a year. They even had a minimum minimum, I think, was around $65,000. This is prior to 1980. Now you can't even have a minimum, much less than 160-something thousand, if I remember correctly, from the prior to the start of Major League Baseball. So why does someone deserve that is overseeing 30 crybabies out there that's got basically money just that comes in automatic, whether they win, lose, or draw, and you got a guy that's overseeing those and making sure that they are supposedly playing by the rules? Sometimes the rules get changed as the week goes along or as the season goes along. And of course, that's where Goodell makes his recommendations and stuff. Sometimes it has to go to arbitration because the NFL Players Association doesn't think that that's something that should have been decided like that. So they will appeal it, like they did with Ezekiel Elliott, with his domestic abuse charge that was brought up by an ex-girlfriend. Granted, I don't think that if he was guilty of the domestic abuse, that he shouldn't go unpunished. I mean, I've been on a domestic violence task force back up in Pennsylvania for a couple years. And, that is one thing that I despise is when a man has to lift their hand to strike a woman. There's no need for that, no call for that. That is just not right, period. Same thing with a woman to a man. Doesn't give the woman any more right to do it than a man to strike the other person. So I'm just saying, if he is guilty, I think he ought to pay the price on the criminal level. Yeah, there should be some repercussion, but until he's convicted in a court of law, why is the NFL interceding on this? Yeah, there's moral turpitudes clause and everything, but really, if he hasn't broken a rule as far as with him playing in his game, hasn't done something egregious like Mr. Burfict did with supposedly hitting an official. I don't think he hit him. I think his arm just accidentally touched, and I'm not a Cincinnati Bengals fan by the least. Pac-Man Jones has done stupid stuff before, and there's others out there that they've touched the ref. And it's like, oh, sorry, ref, I didn't mean to touch you, and they get kicked out of the game. Maybe they bring it upon themselves, but that, is to be determined, on the go, on the fly. But until the court of law determines that, yeah, you did that, you were in the wrong, the NFL should not be interceding with that. Yeah, I know he's a Cowboy fan. I admit that, but until he is found guilty, he should be able to go about his business. But if he is guilty, then slap the cuffs on, put him away for a while. Just because he's in the NFL doesn't mean he ought to get away with it either. Okay. That's my little grandstanding for the night. 423-800-8949. We still got a little time where you can call in with your comments or questions about whatever, whether it's local sports, the regional colleges that are in our area, talking about UT football, Chattanooga Mocs or the Lady Mocs or Lee, or talk NASCAR, whatever. Call us up, 423-800-8949. Be more than glad to take your calls and discuss what is on your mind. Tomorrow night, let's see here. Or no, it's tonight. Cleveland State taking on Wallace State in men's basketball action tonight. And then they've got two other games this week. Jackson State on Friday, Columbia State on Saturday. And, it's tomorrow night. Stetson and the Lady Mocs of UT Chattanooga in action. 5 o'clock tip at the gym, the arena there on the campus of UT Chattanooga. So best of luck to the Lady Mocs, that they will overcome that loss that they had to Central Florida, losing by a point last night, 58-57. There in the old McClellan gym. So NASCAR, just a little briefly. Who do you think out of the 4 drivers will end up winning the NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series title? You've been able to listen to all the races all throughout the season here on Nooga Radio News Talk 92.7 and 95.3 HD4. Race will be coming to a conclusion at Miami-Dade International down in South Florida this Sunday. And, of course, you can catch all that live action through the fine facilities of the Motor Racing Network. This Sunday afternoon, I will get you a definite time, and we'll be mentioning it here over the next several days to make sure that if you can't sit at home in the easy chair, if you're outside working in the garage or out in the yard, you want to listen to the race and not miss it, but also get some work done, you can do that by tuning in right here on your NASCAR racing station. Hopefully, we're working on some ideas to make it a lot more interesting for our listeners for NASCAR next season, and being able to do some promotions in relation to NASCAR, especially with a NASCAR season opening kickoff that we'll have. And no, it's not football, but football just have ended by the time NASCAR gets back underway. But we'll have hopefully some viewing parties going on throughout the season with special races at various locations throughout the Tennessee Valley. We're hoping to do that. That's one thing that we've been able to do back up in the Northeast and had it well attended. We even had a bunch of Brad Keselowski items that were given away that we had obtained through Miller Lite and from Brad himself. It's good to know the right people in the racing world and other sports teams and stuff from around the United States. 37 years of doing this, and relationships that you come to generate or come across really does make a big difference. So hopefully we'll have a lot more of that coming up here in the spring with some NASCAR viewing parties and doing some giveaways and that sort of thing. And hopefully we'll have tickets that we'll be giving away next year as well. I know the station's done that in the past, and hopefully we'll have that at various tracks as well. And I'm hoping that we will have some other great things to be bringing your way in the sports categories. We're looking at launching high school basketball here coming up after the Thanksgiving break. And so hopefully between myself and Keon Rose and who knows who else will be a part of that and bringing you high school basketball action at its finest here in the Tennessee Valley. We're getting ready to round down and get you ready to go for the clutch coming up here at 7 o'clock. Keon Rose, he's sitting there just, I can't wait to get in there and take over that microphone and start telling you about what I got on my mind here and all the latest tidbits of information that he's been able to come across and talking with his various sources and where he's been getting all kinds of information built up. And he's ready to unleash that onto the world here coming up at 7 o'clock after CBS News here on Nooga Radio News Talk 92.7 FM and 95.3 HD4. But once again, congrats to Baylor School's Dan Flack, who's going to be coaching the USA boys team for the Junior Pan Pacific Championships coming up next August. That is a big honor in itself. So, for representing all 50 states and the territories and stuff, and right here in Chattanooga, we've got top caliber coaching in the swimming world. So that is a big deal. So congratulations, Coach Flack and the Baylor School program for being recognized in that regard. So that will be something to talk about more as we get closer. Until tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, I'm Sam Jordan with Sports Talk here on Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7 FM, 95.3 HD4. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Have a great night. The Clutch with Keon Rose is coming up next.